The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Hello viewers, welcome to Chungu cha Jamii. I'm your host, Eunice Mugo. On the show today, we are going to have part 2 of what we had discussed last episode about sex and intimacy. I've brought back the same people so that we can talk more about it as promised, that you are going to have a second part of the same and talk more about it because many other things are there to talk about for us to be able to bring back the light that we had or the spark that we have when we start a relationship and marriage at large. So send in your question across all our social media networks, that's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. I'll allow our guests to introduce themselves. Welcome guests, starting with you, madam.
Thank you so much. Hello, our viewers. My name is Faith Jogo, marriage counselor and relationship coach. And I'm happy to be with you here again as we continue discussing about sex and intimacy in marriage.
Welcome, Madam Faith.
Thank you.
Welcome, guest. Introduce yourself.
Hello viewers, my name is Lois Mike and I'm glad to be back here again.
Welcome, Lois.
Hello viewers, my name is Mike Okoria and I'm glad to be here.
Welcome, Mike. So, well, the other time that you're talking about sex and intimacy, we talked so much about intimacy, but today I want us to talk about sex. Sex in terms of also getting intimate in the ordained way that God designed it to be, in a Christianity based, anchored on that, putting God at the center of it because He's the creator of it all. So maybe starting with, the other time someone had asked about scheduling of sex in marriage, where we say that it is intentional when it comes to marriage, because as you continue on growing your family, you find that responsibility comes along and you end up neglecting your partner and not creating time for them. So the question is, do you think scheduling it as a timetable, for lack of better words, saying that we only get sexually intimate or doing the act of sex only on Tuesday and on Thursday? Anything that is not Tuesday and Thursday, it's not us. Do you think that is advisable, or do you think that it works? Starting with you.
It should not work.
Mm-hmm.
Because sex, as I said, is like a meal. And you do a meal when you're hungry. You don't do a meal because it is lunchtime, that's when you have to do it. When you get lunchtime, when you get hungry along morning and noontime, you can't eat. So as it is about sex, as a couple, you should not schedule sex. It should happen anytime that your partner feels in need of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow. What is your take on the same, Mike?
Okay, my take is, sex should be a natural thing in a marriage setup, in that it flows. Like if I want to kiss my bae, I don't need to have permission. It should be something that we are both on fire for each other, that even if it happens abruptly, no problem. It should be something that is naturally working amongst us. So if it happens 3 times a day, no problem. It is part and parcel of that marriage. So if you schedule a time, you'll realize that, for example, if it reaches that point and your partner is not ready, what then? If you find that you have scheduled and then something comes up that you cannot meet, what then? So when it comes to scheduling, it might create conflicts in a marriage.
Wow. Okay. I agree with you, and I'm thinking of what if something happens? We reschedule. That was the from the research that I did. They were saying about scheduling, and if it doesn't work at that particular time, we reschedule. From your counseling perspective, madam, given that you've tackled such issues before, maybe you can enlighten us more on that.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I think it is not even advisable to schedule sex because, sex is about connection emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
You can schedule it today, and yet today it can't happen because of so many reasons. Yeah, because like women, we have our times. Yeah, you see, and if that sex was scheduled for that time, what will happen? It can't work. So scheduling it is not good. And I wouldn't advise anybody to schedule sex because it is not good. Because when God created Adam and Eve, in Genesis chapter 1 verse 28, he told them, go and be fruitful. Being fruitful, he wasn't meaning that you go plant trees and have some fruits. He gave them permission to go and enjoy it. Enjoy it, hata kama it is daily, yeah, until you have the fruits. Yeah? So you can't enjoy something that you're scheduling. Yeah? So if you want to have a good sex and a satisfying sex, it should be scheduled. Because when you schedule it, then your mind will be, it's like a job, I must do it. So even in your mind, it won't be pleasurable, it won't be fun, because sex is supposed to be fun. So I wouldn't advise anyone to schedule sex. It should come naturally. Yeah.
What is the effect of lacking it? Because now that you're talking about scheduling and it's not happening, and I'm saying you should reschedule. Now, what is the effect of lacking sex in a marriage?
Thank you. When we lack sex in marriage, we start disconnecting emotionally, because sex is what brought you together. Otherwise, if it was not for sex, there would be no marriages, because I can stay with my parent and live there forever. But because of sex, we came together and we became connected. So if this sex is not there, then we start becoming emotionally disconnected. And when we become emotionally disconnected, we get something apple to fill the gap. So you get your friends in the gap, you get your parent in the gap, you continue becoming disconnected. As much as you're not having that sex, and sex is not just sex, a satisfying sex. As much as you're not having it, you'll continue becoming emotionally disconnected. And when you're emotionally disconnected, there is so many conflicts. You fight for something which you don't even know you're fighting for. For example, if you do not give women sex, they become moody. Yeah, and they don't know. You find that you're just making noise for nothing and you don't understand why you're making noise. Why? Because you're not satisfied sexually. Okay? Then, if you do not, sex is like a sport. When you're doing it, your body becomes active. So, if you don't do it regularly, for men, they have low libido. If they don't do it regularly, yeah. For women, if they don't do it, there are those two muscles, hapo kwa bladder, they become loose. So there are so many disadvantages of not having sex. So it is good to have it regularly and naturally, let it flow in your marriage. Yeah.
I think I'll come back to you with a different question, but let me talk to them now. Because the effects and the risk of not having it are interesting. So what is your take on the same? What is the effect of lacking sex in marriage? Like she has mentioned, if a woman or a lady is denied sex, they become moody. I understand that for men, if you starve a man, not talking about food, naturally food, if you starve a man, the man becomes cranky, very moody, very angry, very, you know. But when he is denied sex, or when he is not having it, what are the effects now from your perspective?
I think I would start with the very bad one. In men, sex starts in mind, and it's all about viewing. When a man sees a lady, and maybe you've denied your partner sex for a while, this man will start getting attracted outside. So in that case, you find your man has started getting interested in ladies outside. And as it continues, that's where infidelity kicks in marriage. Yeah.
Mike, what is your take on the same?
Well, we as human beings, we were created naturally to get sexual fulfillment. We were naturally created that. So sex creates the platform that allows that fulfillment. So when you deny somebody, or there is no meeting in that platform, you'll realize that your body will begin having issues. And because the energy level is there, you will realize that people now deviate to other activities to try and deal with that energy that is naturally flowing in you. So denying or not having sex in a marriage setup creates a problem also with your partner. There are issues that are naturally sorted the moment you are intimate with your partner. You can have 100 issues, but one moment of sex, it sorts out most of those issues. That is my take on it.
Wow. Madam Faith, coming back to you, you'd mentioned about for a man who is denied sex, there's a low count of libido. For a woman, you find that the loss of bladder. What is the connection behind that?
Thank you. You see, let me start with a woman. When you're having sex, you know, the way that the private part, let me call it that way, the way women are created, there are those muscles. Yeah, there are two muscles. No matter how small they are, there are those muscles in that area. Yeah, and when you're having sex, there is contraction, yeah, of those muscles, and when you're working out a muscle, it becomes strong. Yeah, it's like when you're going for a gym, you want to have muscles. Same goes to that area. When you're having sex, there is those two muscles you are exercising. And when you're exercising those muscles, they become strong. So even controlling your bladder, it becomes easier because the muscles are strong.
Let me ask as you continue to answer this. I thought staying not being active, it's more helpful because you can do the GAC exercise, and also as you're doing the GAC exercise, you rebuild back. Now, when you're not active, does that mean that instead of rebuilding, or when you're doing the GAC exercise, you're relaxing your muscles? That is why you're saying the bladders become loose.
Yeah, you see, when you're not exercising those muscles, it's just like you're not doing anything to help the muscle. So the muscle will just be like, how will I explain that? It will be relaxed.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and when the muscle is not being worked on well, it is not strong. For example, if you've been going to a gym and exercising building muscles, do you know you can lift a 50 kg bag, whereas that person who is not or who has not been going to the gym cannot lift. You are of the same age, but since you have exercised your muscle to carry a heavy weight, you can lift it. Even around that area, that muscle, if not exercised, it becomes relaxed.
Wow.
Yeah, and because now in marriage, you see, this muscle has been used to deliver a baby. You see, it's not like for a young kid. This muscle has been used. It has been. There is a lot happening. So when you're having sex, the muscle is contracting, trying to bring the happiness around that area. Okay.
Okay.
So when that muscle is exercised, it becomes strong. Then controlling your bladder becomes easier. Okay. Then when it comes to men, now they have started having sex. When you start doing something, yeah, the libido goes up because now there was sperm out. The body is aware it needs to create another one. Okay, so the body mechanism will continue creating the more you're doing the sex. Okay, but if you do not have it, then there will be no much creation. Yeah, so the libido of that person who was so much was having a very high sexual whatever will go down. Yeah, that is the connection with that thing. And that's why you'll find that people have been saying, oh, if you do not have sex or what and what, you'll have prostate cancer. You see?
I've heard of that.
You've heard of that. That is just a mere language, but there is a retro connection because these things are not coming out. You're not having sex. The sperms are not coming out.
You do not have an outlet.
Yeah, there's no outlet. So they stay inside there. They go stale. They start multiplying in the long way. So sex, when you have sex, you avoid all that. Yeah? That's why it is very, very important. When you started having sex in marriage, continue. But if you're not married, do not have it, because you will open a way if you're not married. You will open a way when you have it, and then stop on the way. Then you start having the disadvantages of it. Yeah.
I'll come back with another question now. Coming to you.
Thank you.
Now that she has mentioned about being still, not exercising the muscles, and also not having an outlet, and the disadvantages of not continuing with the act in marriage. Now, my question is, tackling now on masturbation. I want an outlet without the other person in question. Let me put it maybe this way. I don't know how it's going to sound. In a long-distance relationship, I'm here, he's abroad, or the other way around. And you're going to be distance for maybe like 2 years. Maybe taking an instance for like our armies also, who goes for working abroad, and they have to come back after a mission of maybe a year or 2 or so. We just talk on phone, and they are nowhere to be seen, nowhere to get intimate, to get sexually relieved in that. Now, do you think that masturbation is one of our way of relieving your sexual desires?
Okay, masturbation is ungodly.
True.
So, excuse me, those who do it, they do it out of God's counsel. I think if maybe your partner is far and maybe within a year you can't happen to meet, the only thing a person should do is to keep off anything that can trigger desire for sex. You keep off everything. Your mind is very far from thinking about sex. Even maybe when you're communicating, you're talking, you try to speak of things that maybe surrounds your family, but not things to do with having sex, being intimate. Because the moment you happen to bring in that topic, the body system will start wanting for the act. So I think the best thing for such people is to keep off and wafunge mind kabisa about kufikiria sex. Yeah.
What is your take on this, Mike?
Well, if you look at the people who masturbate, you will realize that 90% of them, they don't do it because their partner is far away. They happen to do it because they watched pornography. They subjected themselves in situations that created that atmosphere so much in them that they had to release that particular energy. People who are apart from each other, as long as they do not subject themselves to some certain environments, because remember we said from the beginning, sex begins in the mind. That is where it does not begin in the body. The mind can shut the body down. So if a person can subject his or her mind in a right state that allows one to just have natural good thoughts, you realize that they will not go the direction of masturbation. But the moment you interact with pornography, you interact with groups of people who advocate for it, you'll realize that your mind will tell your body, this is okay, let us do it. And in doing it, you'll realize that you're messing yourself up, because masturbation has natural problems and also has spiritual problems. With spiritually, it's going to open your spirit up to a demonic spirit coming into your life. Because people cannot, sex was created by God for two people. So if you are alone, it means that there is something else right there with you. That's why that act is happening. So you open yourself, your spirit up to that dimension. You do it and you get into marriage. You'll realize that you will go with that same perception. You go try to find fulfillment like you did in masturbation with your partner. So it creates also a problem.
Thank you for that. Viewers, I hope you're learning. Continue sending in your question across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. We'll be back shortly.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, viewers. This is Chungu cha Jamii. Today we are talking about sex and intimacy. This is the second part that we are talking more into details about it. Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. So before we went on a break, we were talking about masturbation and how it's ungodly and how it's opening up to another realm of ungodly things. So Madam Faith, from where you're seated as a counselor, when you have couples or individuals who come to you with, my partner is struggling with masturbation, he can't get satisfied, or an individual saying, I'm struggling with masturbation, hence I can't satisfy my partner, or I can't find consoleness in someone else. I'd rather stay by my own self. Where does this come from, and how do we help them out?
Thank you. You know, a masturbation, first of all, is ungodly. And when you start this thing, most of people who find themselves in masturbation or masturbating, they were introduced to. Yeah. For example, right now, many of our kids are being introduced to masturbation in school. Yeah. And once you get introduced to doing this thing, even when you grow old, even when you get into a relationship, it becomes very hard to stop. But the disadvantage is that it is pulling you away from God, if you're a Christian, and you are also opening to evil powers, as Mike was saying. Because when you masturbate, who are you masturbating with? Yeah, you are masturbating with a spirit. It is a spirit that you think you're with somebody and you start doing that thing until you relieve yourself. So when you masturbate, you move away from your God. But there is this big problem in marriages, because somebody started masturbating before they got into marriage. And now they are in marriage and it has become so hard to stop. So you find that when your partner is waiting for you to satisfy them, you're used to masturbating, so you cannot get satisfied. So it becomes a problem. It creates a conflict. But when these people come to me as a counselor, first of all, I help them change their mindset, because sex starts in the mind. So you have to change, deviate from masturbating, and know that now that I have a partner who is there to help me out, you change your mindset. And because whatever you tell your mind, that's what happens. If you tell your mind that I want to masturbate now, I'm used to it, you'll never move out of that. But if you set your mind that I want to move out of this thing, this is a spiritual thing, and you be keen on your mind, and you get a counselor to guide you, or a mentor to guide you, then you'll be able to move out of masturbation.
Well, we say for one to be sexually active, it's a mutual concept. When we are in marriage, we already agreed for it to be mutual, since you are now together as a couple. Now, we also have rape in marriages. When do we say, I was raped by my husband, or I was raped by my wife? And when do we say that we need to talk about this before? How do you maneuver about the sex act in a relationship without going to that extent of saying, I was raped, I was not interested, I was not? You have to seek permission, because I hear some others saying, you have to ask for permission. Am I in the mood? If I'm not in the mood, we can't do it. Are we open to negotiation? Fine, I'm not in the mood, but he is in the mood, or the other way around. Do we negotiate and come to an agreement? Do you think that should happen in a relationship?
According to my understanding, yeah, there should be communication about it, and especially for ladies, there are times they feel today is like, no, I don't want it. And it's for the man's understanding to help your wife overcome this, because it doesn't mean because that moment she's not in the mood, she's not in the mood throughout. A man should understand and maybe wait. And as he waits, he can consult over times. Are you okay? Are you ready? Can we now do it? Because when you do it when the lady is not ready, that's when we can term it as rape. When I'm not feeling it, I'm not ready for it, There must be connection. If there is no connection, I think that is rape.
And when the partner negotiates and you're like, after all, we are married, it's his right. Let me just give in. How do you go about that?
In that case, you just do it for the sake of the marriage, not for your fulfillment. You want to fulfill your partner, not for your fulfillment.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is your take on the same, Mr. Mike?
Well, for a case to be defined as rape, there must be that forcefulness. You forced yourself on somebody and they had said no. Well, what mostly happens in a marriage setup is not so much rape, but your partner, maybe even though they are not ready in the mood, they just surrender for the sake, maybe for the sake of peace, for the sake of the marriage. So they just give in, maybe, but they are not getting fulfillment. So for there to be true sex, as per God-ordained perspective, there must be intimacy. That sex now brings the connection. So when people are connected, it will be a continuous thing in that marriage. But as long as there is no connection, you'll realize that sex is more of like influenced. It is forced indirectly. So there must be that God kind of connection, not lust, love.
Wow. Not lust, love. What is your take on the same, madam?
Okay. Yeah, when in a marriage setup and you find that there is a rape, it means that one partner forced the other. Because it is not all the time that we have the good moods. So there may be a time when your partner wants sex and you're not ready. What you're supposed to do at that time is to come into consensus. Let's agree. Right now, I'm feeling this way and this way. Yeah? Can we have it in some other times? Or right now, you're so pressured and you want to have it right now. Can we do it just for the sake of my needs? You see, here communication will be very vital because I'll need to listen to you to understand as to why you want it right now and I am not in the mood. You see? So we come into the consensus and agree. Let's just do it for my sake. These are the talks we find in the bedroom. Let's just do it for my sake. Because I was not ready, but just because I love you, I won't let you suffer. You see? So you'll have to do it, but there are those who will refuse. And that is where rape comes in. But by the time you find a wife refusing kabisa to have sex, it's because there have been conflicts. There have been some underlying issues. There have been issues that they have been hiding under the rug. Yeah? There are so many things that has not been solved. So even when this woman tries to force herself into sex, it can't come because there is pain inside. There is emotional bleeding. Okay? So you'll find that because now this man is saying I'm the hand or whatever, he will have to force himself.
Now, when you say the issue now that we can see it's from us as ladies, when we build up issues, retrieving from sex, by the way, is one of the best, or one of the things that I've had as a mechanic of getting back to your spouse. So, as a counselor, how do you advise this lady for them not to be, because now from where I'm seated, I'm seeing like, you're the problem. You're the one, because again, if you continue with this trend, then eventually we are going to be having a great rift. Because if I deny my partner of it simply because of built up issues, and him doesn't ask me, why is it that I'm denying him of his conjugal rights, and I don't open up, then I also again assume that he's an angel, he's supposed to know everything. He's supposed to know that I'm angry, I'm angry at him, he's done something wrong, and well, you're also not communicating in that line. How do you advise this individual or this couple? Because from watching movies and watching and listening to people, that is, when you are coming to you as a counselor, that is when I talk. He's been doing this, he's been doing this, he's not doing this, he's not, and all along we've been in the same house, we don't talk about it. How do you help them now?
Thank you. When a couple comes to me and they're having issues that are leading to not have sex, first of all, I need to understand what's the problem in this relationship, because there are so many things that brings problem or conflicts in a relationship. You find that there is a little problem, maybe let's say money. Yeah, there is a disagreement about money. That disagreement starts, then we mute. I cover myself because I don't want more problems, so I keep silent. I start silent treatment. So we will not solve that issue, okay? So it will continue piling up. There will come another issue in marriage, because there are so many things that in marriage you can even fight because of this cup. You can fight for this watch. This watch is mine, but we can fight over it with my husband. That is what is in marriage. And that is why it is very, very important for married couples to have the knowledge of what marriage entails. It is very important for married couples to learn, when this conflict comes, what am I supposed to do? Yeah? Because if I initiate a silent treatment, I haven't solved the problem. Yeah? That's why you'll find that there is that one person who starts silent treatment, and the other one is a hailstorm, continues making noise. Yeah? Because they haven't understood it is until you solve this issue that you'll have a peaceful marriage. So when they come to me and they have a problem, I listen to the problem. It's like a doctor. I listen to the problem and help them solve that problem. Because when you hide the issues under the rug, they will never be solved, and therefore that thing will continue building up. And when you have a problem that is building up, the disconnection, the emotional disconnection, continue enlarging. So there is a big gap. And when there is this gap, it is not possible to sleep and have a satisfying and fulfilling sex. So you need to solve these problems first, so that you have that fulfilling sex.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so detailed when you're answering that. But before we go on a break, this is what I want us, when you come back, for the couples to answer us. How fast or how quick should you solve your differences and not sweeping them under the rug? Viewers, I hope you're learning as much as I am. Continue sending in your comments, your question across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. We'll be back shortly.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, viewers. This is Chungu cha Jamii. Today we are talking about sex and intimacy. What are the struggles that you're facing in your relationship, in your marriage? What are the things that you face? How do you solve them? How do you overcome them? How do you talk about them? Are you open to dialogues? Are you open to correction? These are some of the things that we are talking about today. Continue sending in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa, or SMS line is 21144. So before we went on a break, Madam had mentioned about sweeping things under the rug. As a woman, guilty as charged. We do that. I hope you can agree with me, ladies. It's, let me not put it as our weakness, but we oftenly do that mostly. And this is why I can also be their advocate. It's because we expect men to understand us with everything. And as much as you're not an angel, I expect you to learn through my voice. If you talk to me, hey, morning babe, and I'm like, oh, come on. You should learn from the tone that something is wrong, and also come like, hey, what's wrong? What's up with your mood? You know, that's from the women's perspective. Now, with the much or the little that I've interacted with also couples, this is what I get as well from the man's side. That is for the lady. You'll answer that from the lady's perspective. This one is for you, Mike. From the man's perspective, now this is what we get from you. Ukikosa do, si mimi nimekunyima. With all due respect, tafuta. That's why I'm looking up on you. I'm looking up. Since you're the head, now the challenge you're having with also men, the same way we're expecting you to understand us, is the same way I assume you also men, you want us to understand you in the same way. If you don't have money, that's fire in the kingdom. Because you'll also be moody, you have stress, you have issues to do with maybe feeling that you have pressure from us as ladies or from the family that you need to fulfill. You also have the goals and the plans that you wanted to fulfill, but you feel like you're short of expectations or something. But when you have no money, when you're running, squeezing terms of budget and cash, hey, man, you give us hard time. Let's start with the lady, then we get to you. What is your take on that?
Okay, I think I would say ladies are not able to express immediately. They like waiting for the thing to sink before they let it out. And again, if it's an issue and maybe your partner is the one that made you angry, you expect him to come back to you and inquire of your problems. You settle the thing immediately.
Or as you continue, let me add this one. You expect your man to come back. That's what you expect. But do we communicate like, hey babe, this is what I'm facing, this is what I'm struggling with? Or do we just assume from the tone he has to learn?
As me, I assume. And in that case, there are reactions. There's change of tone, there's change of doing things. So I expect him to understand and to notice that there is a problem.
Wow. Yes, Mike.
Well, when you get married, you are given a certificate. With the certificate, it means that you qualify to be in that relationship. And no school will teach you about all that you're going to face. So it means that if God has given me a life of 70 years with this lady, it means it will take 70 years for me to truly learn her. If she also does not understand one simple thing, that if you have a problem, just talk. I've had too many reactions out there, then I come home to more reactions. The best thing I'll do is go to a solid place, first of all, to avoid more pressure from the lady. I'll first of all separate myself as a man so that I give her her space, because I do not understand what the problem is. So my mind My mind is wired in a way that I want to solve a problem. She's not telling me what the problem is. I am not understanding what the problem is. So I do not know how to find a solution. So that is where we have a problem. So if ladies can just talk, if this cup is the problem, just say. Don't reveal via your actions. Because by the time I am understanding what you're saying, maybe it's 2 days. But if you had just taken a minute just to say, this is where the problem is, I could have solved that problem, or we could have found a solution to that issue. So if me as an individual, I'm getting maybe financial pressure, automatically how life is if I am not infected, I am affected. Assume I own a vehicle and I'm driving to town. Yes, I'm the owner of the vehicle. I am driving the vehicle. The vehicle gets a puncture. Me as the driver, I'll be more affected, but also my passengers will automatically be affected, whether they like it or not. So our partners also need to understand that when we get pressures from outside, it has to, there's a vibration I'm going to release whether I like it or not. If I get a promotion at work, that energy, I'll come and I will vibrate it to her. She'll also be partaker of. So she'll be a partaker of both positive and negative. That is just sometimes how it is. I try my best to shield her from the negative, but if it radiates automatically at times, she has now to be that woman who understands, and that lady who is strong, and that lady who knows how to comfort the man at that particular moment, not run away.
I feel this is unfair. Correct me if I'm wrong. You've said she should be that wise woman to accept the vibration and to flow with it. I don't know. Me, I feel kuna that pressure on us women, because you're also told that we are the people who build or break our families, which I agree. But again, you put us through so much. Because if the same energy, you've said it has been, you've come with it from outside. It's not from inside. But you, whether knowingly or unknowingly, you've transmitted the negative vibration. Then, don't you think it's fair enough if also I'm working, or maybe it is worse, if the negative energy is advocated from, maybe not agreeing with the kids, the house chores, there are so many and I'm so tired and yet when you come home, there's that thing that you expect me to have done and you find it not done. Then the same way you assume, it's the same way I assume. Don't you think it's only fair that you also understand from where we are coming from?
It is true. For us, mostly, we tell you where the problem is. So you are able to accommodate most of the time. Most of the time, ladies don't talk. They have an issue, they do not talk. So you are releasing a negative energy on me, yet I do not understand. So I do not know how to accommodate. But me, if I tell you the issue is finances, your mind is already opened up to accommodate that reality. But you as a lady, if you do not speak out and I understand where the problem is so that I may accommodate that particular issue, there is going to be issues.
In a scale of 1 to 10, what would you term in terms of men communicating? Because when I mentioned about finances, I was very intentional because that is what we find outside from the views of other people. When I'm talking and telling them, this is what I'm going to talk about. This is what I want to hear from you. What is your take? So when I'm talking about money and when you're talking about ladies sweeping things under the rug, it's particular. That is mostly what we're having outside in the society. So in a scale of 1 to 10, or a percentage, what is the great number of men that talk about and say, hey, we're going through these financial issues? Most of them don't say. What is your take on that? In a scale of 1 to 10, how many talk, how many don't talk, and how many are in between?
Okay, there's a percentage that don't talk because they know their partner. They know how their partners will react because their partner is not used to maybe taking negative information. So we keep that information to ourselves. We hide it. We cover, not just hide, we cover our partners from that. Then there's another group in that they avoid completely. Not because of the partner, maybe it is a wrong thing they are doing. So they keep the family far away from that particular thing. Then there are those who naturally just communicate. Well, I can say the majority are not who naturally communicate. I will not lie. The majority will always, you deal on a person-by-person basis, depending with how you know your partner.
Oh, thank you.
Many also don't communicate, protecting their ego.
We have that one as well.
Yes,
But
they want to
guys, guess
protect
what?
their ego. He's a man, he should not lack. So he brings moods.
Yeah, sure.
He doesn't want to communicate that he's financially constrained. Yeah.
True. That
Yes.
one I agree as well. And also what you've said. But apparently time is not on our side. Madam Faith, allow me not to give you back the limelight of talking on that. Briefly, just give your parting shot in less than a minute.
First of all, because we were talking about sex, I would tell people, and especially those who are in marriage, to make sex part of their life. Let them enjoy sex and let them satisfy one another because that is what God wanted. But for those who are not married, then you need to wait for you to be in this institution so that you can enjoy it the way you want. Thank you so much.
Madam, what's your parting shot?
Yeah, thank you so much for the discussion. I'm happy and through the discussion I've learned of some things I would also change in my family. Yeah, I would encourage people, as we are talking about intimacy and sex, to be submissive to their marriage. If you're a wife, be submissive to your husband. Ensuring that you're giving conjugal rights, it's being submissive as a woman. Hakuna hiyo mambo ya headache, tumbo. Yeah, hiyo mambo ishe. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike.
Well, sex is a great thing. It is God ordained. And I will just advocate that let's do it in a legal platform, a right platform that glorifies the Lord. And as long as our sexual life is glorifying the Lord, we'll realize that our marriage is working and we will not need to go outside of marriage. So anything that is not godly, like masturbation, kindly keep off, and you'll realize how much God will keep himself in your marriage life.
Wow. Viewers, I hope you've learned as much as I have. I hope that you've also enjoyed the show, because I feel that we've not have enough time. Again, we've only tackled now, comparing with the other episode, now we are almost like a quarter. This thing, I didn't know or didn't realize it will be this wide when you're talking about it. But now I'm learning that there is a lot to talk about. There is a lot to learn and unlearn at the same time, depending with where you're standing. So let's continue this conversation offline across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. Till next time.